Welcome to the second episode of C'est Mariage.
Correction.
We changed the name of our vlog. We called it C'est Mariage initially because it was a combination of our last name, C'est Majust, and mariage,
In French.
marriage in French. So we called it C'est Mariage. But the brilliant, talented, and creative Lenard came up with the name Same Page. And I thought it was very fitting because the whole point about this vlog is communication, and when you communicate with your partner, you thrive to be on the same page, right? And you often talk about we're not on the same page, we don't feel connected.
Yes.
So since being on the same page is what we want to do, we decided to call it Same Page.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
good job.
All right, thank you.
Nice and unique name. So welcome to Same Page. Today we're going to talk about the 5 love languages. This book, we read this book called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and it pretty much changed our relationship
Yes, it did.
for the better. Once we read it, we really knew how to express love to one another, and that really helped solve a lot of problems that we were having in intercommunication.
Yes.
So we will talk about what the 5 love languages are, and then we'll explain which ones we identified with the most.
Okay. The first love language is words of affirmation. And basically that comes down to providing either compliments or words of appreciation to your partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, one other thing that's really important that they emphasize in the book is that not only are these complimentary words important, but also it's important to the tone that you use to express these words.
If I say to Lenard, "Good job out there today," versus "Good job out there today," same words, but because of the intonation, you perceive it as another message. So actually your tone is more important than the actual words that you're using.
For the most part, yes.
The second love language is quality time, and that's actually my love language. Quality time really means spending time with the person and giving them your undivided attention while you're doing so. So no distractions, no television, no phones, and sharing with the person. It's not just listening to what the person has to say, but it's also sharing your thoughts and feelings during the time that you're together. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into that a little bit later on.
Okay. Now the third love language is receiving gifts. Now this one is pretty self-explanatory, but the book really emphasizes on it's not necessarily how much or the value behind the gift, but more so the symbolism of the gift. So whether it's giving your partner a single rose, a love letter, or a card, what is really important is a symbol behind it. In addition to that too, you yourself can also be a gift. So by you attending either a party, a funeral, or whichever activity, for some people, if receiving gifts is their love language, sometimes just your presence at this activity will go a long way as to filling that person's love tank.
Yep, well said. The fourth love language is called acts of service. Acts of service is doing something for the person you love, but also doing something that they enjoy. And it has to be done with a positive attitude. So if you're just doing it because you just want to get rid of this chore, or just because the person asked you to do it, that's not going to be perceived as an act of love. So you really need to do it with love, with a positive attitude for the person, in order for them to receive it as an act of love.
You shouldn't feel obligated to do these acts. These acts should come out of the goodness of your own heart.
Absolutely.
And then once that once these actions are done, if your partner's love language is acts of kindness, then those acts will go a long way.
Yeah. So some examples of acts of service could be doing the laundry for the person, doing the dishes, bringing them a cup of water. What else?
bringing their car to the garage.
Bringing my car. Len brings my car to the garage all the time.
Yeah.
And that's an act of service. Anything that the other person would appreciate is defined as an act of service.
The last love language, which is the fifth one, is physical touch. Simply put, is a physical contact that you have with your partner. Now, men might think that this is simply refers to any touch that kind of leads to sexual acts. That's not the case in this, which this book really gets into. It's a lot more about creating intimacy between you and your partner. So whether it's holding hands while you guys are walking, or whether it's actually being connected when you guys are sitting next to each other, whether it's play fighting, it's creating that intimacy with your partner through touch.
Absolutely. And it's very important to know what kind of physical touch that your partner likes, because some people like to be touched a certain way and others don't. For example, myself, I've very explicitly expressed to Leonard what I like as physical touch and what I don't like. And in order for that person to perceive it as an act of love, it has to be something that they enjoy. So some people like a touch on the knee, or some people like a rub on the head, or I don't know, Leonard likes a little bit of rub on the ear at least.
No, actually, you like to do that.
It's very important to have that conversation with your partner to know what they perceive as an act of love. What kind of physical touch do they like?
Yes.
So now we will talk about what we found that our love languages are, and how that a few examples that we do on a weekly basis to make sure that our love languages our love tanks are full. My love language is quality time, and more specifically, quality conversations. In the book, they talk about each love language having a different dialect, and one of the dialects of quality time is quality conversations, which I really identified with. And what that really meant is that not only that I would want Leonard to sit down with me and be with me without any distractions and give me his undivided attention, but I also want to talk to him, and I want him not only to listen, but to talk back, to express his feelings and his thoughts about what I said, but also share some of his thoughts, his own thoughts with me. And that's how I perceive love. And in the past, actually, what we discovered is that he could touch me all he wants and feel like, okay, well, I'm showing her affection and I'm doing all these things for her. I'm doing the dishes, I'm cutting the grass, etc. But if that's not my primary love language, then I wasn't perceiving it as love. I appreciated it, but it wasn't filling my love tank. So when I found out, oh, that's really what I like, and this is what makes me feel loved, I share that with him. And now, on top of obviously doing other things that he likes, physical touch and acts of service, cutting the grass, laundry, etc., but he makes an extra effort to speak my love language by spending quality time with me.
Yeah, and so one thing I learned is that Sarah really needed to feel connected, and for her, the way that that she feels connected is through quality conversations, and really quality conversation in the sense of to really kind of dig deep, pose those questions, have a little back and forth, and really ensure that there are no distractions. So take away the TV, take away the cell phones, and really try to connect with your partner and have a quality conversation.
So what are some examples that we use in order to have quality conversations together?
For me, definitely having a date night is one way to have a quality conversation. And also, but specifically really trying, like, since we live in the suburbs, we try to get out of our little comfort zone. Maybe we'll go downtown, go for a walk downtown, or go to a museum or whatnot. Another way we try to do to have that quality conversation is to simply have dinner together.
Yep.
During the week.
Away from our phones, no TV, and that allows us to just be with one another and talk about our day. Go for walks, you mentioned that. So anything, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. When we think date, we automatically think dollar signs, but we are very creative with how we make sure that we spend quality time together and have quality conversations.
So when I first learned about love languages, initially I thought, even before reading the book, that my love language was physical touch. But after reading the book and taking some of the quizzes, it turns out that even though physical touch is a love language, for me it would be a secondary love language, but my primary one would be words of affirmation. I feel I get a lot more, my love tank gets filled up a lot quicker and more significantly when Sarah provides me words of words of affirmation, whether it's a compliment or a sign of appreciation.
Absolutely. So some of the things that I do, knowing that his love language is words of affirmation, before he leaves, I might say, "You look sharp today," or, "Oh, thank you so much for folding my clothes." I send him some text messages during the day and say, "I really appreciated the fact that you ... did the laundry, clean the dishes," and that goes a long way. Leonard comes home happy just because I said those few words, and definitely words have the power of life or of death. So you really want to make sure that to use those to your advantage. We touched on love tank, but we didn't really explain what a love tank is. Do you want to?
So love tank is basically a metaphor of how you feel loved in your relationship. And if the only way to fill your love tank is to have your partner speak to you in your love language, and then as your partner either says certain things or does certain acts, then that love tank is filled up, and then you just feel more connected.
Absolutely.
You feel happier, and you just feel more fulfilled in your relationship.
Absolutely. And it is very important, if you read the book, figure out your love language, but express that explicitly to your partner. Don't keep them guessing. It is not their job to find out your love language. It is your job to tell them, because you didn't know before reading the book, or maybe you do know, maybe you're very insightful and you know, but don't keep them guessing. It makes the relationship a lot easier when you're explicit about certain things, and even tell them, "I would like you to have dinner with me without your phone and without watching television. I would like you to say thank you when I do the laundry," etc., etc. And that goes a long way. Then the person just does it, your love tank gets full, and your relationship is good. You guys feel fulfilled. So
I really try to be honest here. So if you do feel that your love tank is empty or is on the lower side, don't feel ashamed or don't feel embarrassed by expressing that to your partner, because if your partner truly loves you and wants the best for you and wants you to be happy, that person will make the effort to fill your love tank and to speak to you in your love language.
Absolutely. One of the things that we do to ensure that we know how full each other's love tanks are, we do something called the love tank check. So we'll just explicitly ask, "How full is your love tank?" And if Leonard tells me 5 out of 10, then I know I need to do a better job at speaking his love language. And it has happened in the past where I'm like, "How full is your love tank?" when I felt that we weren't connected, and he's like, "Oh, it's like out of 3." And my little spidey senses, my antenna went up, and I knew I had to do a better job at being a little bit more speaking his love language in general. And we try to do that once a week. We probably should do it a little bit more often, but that's a good way to really check in with your partner and see how they're doing, so that you can feel connected most of the time, and not let that love tank be empty. Fill it up as soon as it feels like it's going down. All right. So we're not getting any more money for talking about this book. So this is just something that we found extremely helpful in our relationship. If it can help you guys, go ahead and get it. get maybe borrowed from the library, whatever, but you do need to read this book. We found it extremely helpful. So The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
And it's a very quick read, guys and girls, so it's really not, it wouldn't take you more than a couple of weeks just to get through this book.
Yes, and that's a long side.
Yes.
So we covered all the love languages. To summarize, the first love language is
Words of affirmation.
Then we have quality time.
Then we have receiving gifts.
Then acts of service.
And the last one is physical touch.
And physical touch. Until next time, find out what your partner's love language is so that you can connect with them.
Yes.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.